What was your very favorite track with Return to Forever that you played on?
Hmm. I look at it as a body of work. Um, I think "Where Have I Known You Before" is a great record. There's parts of "No Mystery." That's a great that were great compositions and contributions. "Romantic Warrior." So I look at it as a body of work, the whole thing. I mean, I don't know if I have a favorite. I liked what I played on Celebration Suite. I liked what I played on Flight of the Newborn. I like what I played on Song to the Pharaoh Kings, Captain Senor Mouse. See, so like, I mean, see, I was growing. I was growing. So when you say a favorite, that means that's just the end. There's no end. I'm still growing, man. You know. So I don't have a favorite. I haven't done it yet.
Well, Lenny, why did the group sort of go its separate ways? And obviously Stanley got very much into recording his own records, and you did your own records. And was it just a need to grow?
Well, yes, I think it was. But I'm not sure if I can say that that's the reason why there was a split. What happens with bands, to a certain degree, they become limiting to certain people within the group. If any band that had however many people that they have in the band, if all those members could see it as a particular entity that you go in and out of, then those things can survive. But if an artist within a band says, well, this is too limiting for me with my scope, then the band no longer exists because they have to leave. I think it would have been great and we would have continued if everybody would have had that position, that that mindset. Because a band is the greatest dynamic that you can go out into the world with. A successful band is unlike anything else. It's amazing because of the dynamics within a band. It's like a small culture. It's like a small society, and all the different ways that each person in the band plays off of each other helps create the music and the style that they create, and those things continue to morph. But I don't know. I
Yeah.
wish that would be the case, and they would do, because we need bands. We need, especially this society needs some direction.
Well, yeah. So the whole, you know, uh, s- uh, whole being greater than the sum of the parts thing with
Yeah.
bands. Yeah. You had your first solo record in '75, the Newsian Summer. Um, were you happy with how that turned out? Were you excited? What was your mindset with that record?
I was extremely excited. I mean, I listen back to it now, and I mean, it still was for me as it was. It's a great record. Um, to have Demiola and Coriel. Coriel was Demiola's mentor, and to have them play on a record together was was great, fantastic. Um, to have Larry Young play with me on a record because he had played. Well, we had played together on Bishop's Brew, but he had played with Tony Williams and Lifetime. Hubert Laws played on that. Onaje Allen Gums. Great bassist Doug Roush. We miss him. Um, but it was great, man. I mean, it got me an opportunity to express myself musically and to tell people what I was into. And on those records, I mean, on that record, I was playing funk music. I had some orchestral music. I had, some rock out. I mean, I just really exposed who I am. I'm not musically myopic. I listen to everything and try to funnel everything into what it is that's my approach.
I'm looking here to see, were you still doing a lot of other session work at that time, or were you really focusing on your own thing right at that time?
We were still in Return to Forever. That was a very interesting and unique situation. When we did Romantic Warrior and when we signed to Columbia, it was the first time that you had four individuals in a band with totally different contracts and a band contract. The band contract on one label and the individuals having their own separate deals on different labels. So it was pretty unique. But we were still see. That's what I'm saying. That's what was really interesting and deep. We got an opportunity to do all of what we want to do and still be a part of a band. And I think
But it's short-lived.
yeah, that's a real great way to grow. And not only does the individual artist grow, but the band grows also. So, yeah, I was still doing sessions. I was doing sessions with a lot of different people, but I was still in Return to Forever too.
So during that time when you were in both, were you able to go out and do any of your own material live, or?
Well, no, I waited until I left Return to Forever to do my own material live.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we had done some of my material in Return to Forever. Sorceress was my contribution in Return to Forever. Sophista-Funk and Sorceress. And so I was the best of both worlds. I had gotten some of my music for the band to play some of my music too.
Right. So you ended up doing 2 records for Emperor Records, and then you made the switch to Elektra. And that, I think, got you greater or a stronger promotion, I want to say, or support from a label standpoint. Is that so why you made the change, or what happened there?
No, I mean, what happened was someone wants to give you an opportunity to make your own music. You go with that opportunity. I had gotten a better opportunity with Elektra, and they let me do what it is I wanted to do, and so that's why I did it.
I happen to have CD copies of some of these here, so I'm going to hold them up.
Wow!
So
right. Do you know
Pirates?
that cover was Michael Kaluta, who's a great comic artist, and that's a special. That was a story that I wrote with Don Mizell, who was the head of Elektra at the time, and it was a theme-oriented record, just like Return to Forever's Romantic Warrior was a theme-oriented record. So basically, it was music that was written for a particular story. And that's the Astro Pirates record was.
It's a great record. I mean, it rocks hard.
Yeah, it does. It does. It does.
What was it hard to market that record because of, it's sort of not being jazz, not being rock, not being funk? It was just kind of its own thing.
You mean music?
Yeah, was it hard? Was it hard? Well, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, you mean music?
But
Is that?
but you know how
Yeah,
they want to slot everything.
right. But see, that just proves the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to market music. The fact is, what should be the marketing model for music is it's honest. That's what it should be. It shouldn't be a thing that like it's this or that or whatever. But of course, anytime you take progressive music like that, that doesn't, well, we did have vocals, but progressive music that doesn't relate from the vocal standpoint is going to be hard to market. So
I mentioned, I don't think I said while we were on the show, but this is the one that brought me to you because of, my age bracket, but here everyone can see it streamlined.
yes,
This record was not quite as, it was more accessible, let's just say a little bit more than the Pirates one. More emphasis on R&B, funk, and vocals. Was that, were you pushed by the label in that direction, or was it still all you wanted to do artistically?
I was never pushed by the label in any direction. All of those records were it was my direction. I got major flack for that record. I got more flack for that record than I did Astro Pirates because I I took sacred music and messed with it. I took Lady Madonna.
Hey, Shaka Khan's on there.
That's right. I took Lady Madonna and did a take of Lady Madonna, and a radio station in Cleveland or someplace actually had people call in. They played my version and played the Beatles version and asked the audience, which did you like better? That's sacred music. Are you kidding? Oh, so I got a lot of flack for doing that. So, but it was my reach to take something that I had heard, enjoyed or liked, and do it my way. So, and it's very weird because critics of people doing that will say, oh, he's selling out because he did a Beatle tune. But they said that to Miles. They said, oh, he's selling out because, this record, Bitches Brew, it's like, it's not what he used to do. It has, like rock beats and all this stuff like that. But if you listen to that music, it is nothing like what regular rock beats are. No. And like, this is nothing like what the Beatles did with Lady Madonna.
That's a knee-jerk, superficial reaction.
Well, that's right. But the fact is, my first record was Bitches Brew. So ever since then, I've always been in a situation where I want to kind of flip the music that I work on. Actually right now as we speak, I'm doing a record with Miles Davis's nephew, Vince Wilburn, and the Miles Davis Electric Band. And I've done a rehash of Bitches Brew that will be coming out because it's been 50 years. So,
oh, cool.
Yeah.
But will that be out this year or next year?
Maybe late this year or early next year. Very Depends cool. When we finish it in time. So,
how did you hook up with Shaka Khan though for that?
There was a mutual friend that we had, and he came by to see me when I was in LA, and she came to the house where we were rehearsing, and she heard that, and she said, "Oh, I want to be on this." And I said, "Are you kidding? Sure, let's do this." I had met her in an airport in North Carolina. I'm walking through the airport, we returning forever, and I hear somebody say, "Lenny White." And I told her, she said, "Shaka Khan, Rufus." That's how I met her in the airport.
Well, let's see, this was 78. So that was right around the time when she was starting to explore her solo career.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, great tracks in here. Strutting, Earthlings, 12 Bars from Mars. You kind of had a little bit of that space theme still going. Time.
It was a good band. Marcus Miller,
Yeah.
Nick Morrock, Donald Blackman, Denzel Miller. It was real, and Jamie Glazer played in that band also.
So what would you think they would say how Lenny White was in the studio with them?
You got to ask them.
Well, what would you describe?
No, the fact is, I've always been someone who really relishes contributions from the other people that I'm working with. I mean, like no one can really do it themselves, but sometimes a contribution from somebody gets you to think differently about what it is that you were going to try to do. So I relish that. I mean, and all of those guys turned out to be fantastic musicians on their own. And, that music wouldn't have sounded that way if, I just dictated to everybody what to play. No way. I've never been like that. I mean, I've never been in those kinds of situations.
Did you tend to push for a lot of takes or just, hey, hit it and quit it, or what?
Well, back then, there were some young guys that were not studio worthy, and it took a lot of takes for things to happen. But they learned and progressed and became some fantastic studio musicians.
And then on the next one, you actually started calling them 29.
Well, I was 29.
29 was what? What's the significance of that number?
I was 29.
Okay. That makes sense. This record, though, I mean, gave you really your first big, like, black radio hit, Peanut Butter.
Donald Blackman. I mean, I had done the record, and Donald Blackman came and said, listen, man, I got one more tune for you to listen to. I think you should do this tune. And he played me Peanut Butter. And I said, if I do this, am I going to have to play this for the rest of my life? And I did it, and it became a huge hit.
Yeah.
Huge hit. But that's Donald Blackman, definitely.
Did that change your life at all, just having this whole new audience?
Well, to a certain degree, it did, yes. I mean, I'll tell you how it changed my life. I did a tour it was Prince's very first tour of the United States. It was Rick James, Prince, and Lenny White. And we did, I don't know, maybe 20 dates. And so, it changed my life. I played huge coliseums. And it wasn't, I mean, I had done that with Return to Forever, but playing my own music and playing a hit tune that was being played on the radio and, all that. It was totally different. Yes, it was a big change for me. How
jazzy did you get on those sets? Did the audience take it?
No. They were getting popcorn. Now, we were playing our stuff until we played our hit. When we played our hit, then everybody was jamming with that, But, the whole point is what I played was what I played. And it was my version of these popular musical styles that people listen to. But it was still my version of that.
Mm-hmm. That particular tour, though, I mean, Rick James and Prince, that's kind of his legendary tour because there was a rift that developed between them, supposedly, and all that. Did you see any tension between those guys?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. It was very interesting. But then again, sometimes those rifts or those things that cause contention help the music because you have to be on your toes. You can't half-ass anything. You got to go for it. And somebody gets in your butt and makes you go for it. And the music is incredible.
So who kicked ass more on stage at that point, in your opinion, Prince or Rick James?
Say it again.
I said, who kicked more butt on stage at that time, in your opinion, Prince or Rick James?
No comment.
All right,
You know,
fair enough.
it's not right for me to comment on people that are not here anymore. So.
All right, fair enough. I saw them both back then. So I would say first initially Rick James did, and then Prince elevated his game.
Yes, he did.
Yeah.
Very much so.
This was the next one, and you had another huge hit with Kid Stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Kept it coming.
No, again, that was as I said, I listen to all kinds of musics. My whole thing is, how can I get what it is that I hear to be accessible for everybody? It's not, how can I make accessible music? That's not my point. Everything that I hear, all the things that I hear that turn out to become accessible, they were not done because I wanted to make accessible music. It was the music that I heard, and I tried to make the music that I heard accessible. And now that really just depends upon marketing.
Well, I see also you were working with Larry Dunn back then. I've had him on the show too.
Yes,
what was it?
He did Streamline and Best of Friends with me.
What was it like working with him? I mean, he's such a consummate pro, isn't he?
I was great. See, I met those guys when I was in Azteca. They 1970, is it 72? I think 1972, whatever. They went from Warner Brothers to CBS. And there was a convention in London at the Grosvenor House Hotel. And I was a part of Azteca. And in the book Hitman, it's talked about Clive Davis having a new band that he was going to debut at midnight. I was in that band. That band was Azteca. And I got to meet all the guys in Earth, Wind and Fire then. And so I have known them for close to 50 years. I mean, and Larry, I met then along with Philip, and you know, we've been friends forever. And you know, we talked about possibly working together, and we did.
Did you feel pressure once you did get a radio hit, though, to kind of keep them going?
Not really. I felt pressure to always have an outlet to be able to play my music. And sometimes, given that opportunity, you have to do things so that you will always have an outlet. Because without a voice, nobody hears you.
And the music industry was changing so much around that time, from the 70s into the 80s.
Well, back then it was the music business. Then it became the music industry. And just like any industry, an industry manufactures product. And that's what we have.
Yeah. Also, drum machines were coming in big around the early 80s too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How'd you feel about that?
Oh, I recognized that and said, okay, I'm going to learn how to program a drum machine, because I'm not going to be obsolete. I'm not going to not have a job if they're going to do that and not use drummers anymore. So, no, I'm very, very well versed with all of that stuff. And that's what I'm saying. You know, I have a particular way of hearing my music, and I want to use all the technical things that, you know, who I'm working with now, which is really, I mean, he's an absolute great guy, great is Daryl Jennifer from Bad Brains,
Oh,
and he's a real great guy, man. And we're making some really good music.
wow. Is he still favor the punk rock stuff, thrash?
He's no, I'm not saying nothing. I mean, it's really some good music. That's what I'm saying. It's some really good music.
How'd you guys connect?
He connected. He went to my page
Oh,
and asked would I do a session with him. I had found out that they were big Return to Forever fans,
hmm.
and we talked about it. I mean, and we continue to talk about it. And he said, "Man, you never know who you influence, and you guys influenced me really to a great degree. And you never know. That's what I'm saying. You just do what you do, and people get it. Not everybody may get it, but people get it.
Well, also, I think I mean, a lot of people would be very surprised with how broad-based a lot of musicians' tastes are and influences are. Just because they are known for producing a certain kind of music does not mean that's all they're about.
Exactly. You said a mouthful right there. Exactly. Because we as artists listen to each other. It's not as cut and dry and regimented as the music industry makes it. That's not the way musicians are.
Yeah. Lenny, there's such a close relationship between jazz and funk, and so many of the great jazz artists from the 70s eventually, either dabbled or eventually went like really heavy into funk. What do you think that relationship is, and why is there such a close camaraderie, if you will, between funk and jazz?
You see, the best way for me to explain it, how I look at it, is there are too many. Uh, the definition of funk is clouded because when I was growing up, funk was James Brown. That's what it was. But I had heard the word funk or funky before James Brown with Horace Silver. Filthy McNasty from Horace Silver, that was called a funky groove. So the reason why it's connected is because it's the same music. That's the whole point. The problem is when you want to sell something, you market it a certain way. And if you think about it, Cold Sweat is a form of Miles Davis's So What? So, I mean, when you say, well, funk and jazz, they're the same music. I guess the attitude is what makes something different. But basically, it's the same music. And jazz guys have been playing things that were funky a long time ago before funk was slapping the bass. You know, I think that they're one and the same. It's the attitude of how you play something. This is what makes it funky. It's not a particular style of music. It's how you play something.
Hmm.
The
I guess.
classic example is Actual Proof. Actual Proof. Mike Clark was swinging. Mike Clark was playing straight ahead on that. All he was doing is moving beats. If you talk with him about that, that's what he'll tell you. In his head, he heard him playing swinging like Tony Williams. But now that's one of the funkiest joints out. See? So
Yeah. So you and the guys from Return to Forever, you crossed paths quite a bit over the years, and you worked on. You were on Stanley's solo records, right? Some of them.
Yeah, I produced one of his solo records. We won a Grammy for it.
There you go.
Stanley
So,
Clark Band. Yeah.
yeah.
And
So
then I did Echoes of an Era with Shaka Khan, with Chick and Stanley and Freddie Hubbard and Joe Henderson. You know, through the years we've worked together. I mean, and then we got back together, and I produced the Forever record that we won a Grammy for, because that was Chick, Stanley, and myself as a trio. We went out. So I've been working with my guys every once in a while.
yeah, so I mean, it's great that you guys have kept on such friendly terms. You still
Oh,
consider them like your brothers. I'm guessing.
yeah, we made music. We made great music together. Why should I not think of them as being, brothers? I mean, the contributions of what we did together, very, very long lasting, man.
When you guys got together in 2011, I think it was for Chick's 70th birthday, I saw you guys at the Blue Note. You did the acoustic set, and Stanley was on the upright bass, and that was terrific. I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, yeah. We had a good time.
So much so that I actually picked this up too, which
Yeah, I produced that too.
yeah, very cool. It's got the video and the audio.
Right, right.
Yeah. So, um, of all these people you've worked with, I mean, what an amazing legacy you have, Lenny. Um, is there anyone in particular that leaps out? I mean, obviously Miles. Anyone else that leaps out that you just kind of had to pinch yourself and you're like, was such a thrill to, be in their presence?
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know, because I can't really say that, because with the Miles, of course, but with the exception of Miles, everybody else made it such a safe space to be in that you don't think about that. I mean, Miles made it a safe space too, but he was Miles Davis, and that was my first record. You know what I mean? So the other situations musically that I've been in, um, they haven't warranted that kind of interpretation, or that, oh man, I don't know what I'm going to do. They haven't been like that. So while I respect all of the musical collaborations that I've had, um, I was in a safer space after Bitches Brew.
Yeah, when you come out of the gate with a Miles collaboration, I guess it's kind of hard. That kind of desensitizes you in a way.
I mean, I went from doing that and then doing Ready Clay with Freddie Hubbard, which those records were like big records, I mean, and so it kind of prepared me for being in situations like that. Those two instances.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Lenny, what would you say is your most unforgettable memory from the road? Whether it was just a huge crowd that was incredible, or maybe there was some like experience on the road that you'll never forget.
Well, we returned to Forever. This was 1975. We did not have a hit on pop radio. We did not have a singer in our band. And there was a Schaefer Music Festival during the summer in Central Park. And there was the Woolman Skating Rink in Central Park. It held 7,000 people. And we did not have a singer in the band. And again, we did not have a hit single on radio. And when they announced that Return to Forever was going to play at the Woolman skating rink, 7,000 people came to the Woolman skating rink, and another 3,000 people tore down the fences. So there was 10,000 people in the Woolman skating rink. And it was an amazing feat for us to play the music that we played and have 10,000, 7,000 people show up and pack the place, and then another 3,000 people break the fences down to hear this music. Larry Fishburne was in the audience. I mean, these people that now became big stars or whatever came to hear this music. And that was, at that point, I knew that what we were doing was special. And I have a picture of it. That's a lasting memory for me.
Did you guys elevate your playing, you think, to a different level because of that?
We were always developing and elevating. That was the one thing. That didn't stop. When it stopped, that was because we were not doing it anymore. But as long as that band was together, that's what was happening.
So it's pretty cool that happened, and the police didn't try to shut it down, or there wasn't a riot or something like that.
There's nothing they could do. That was the force of a following like that. That's what made it special. That was power. And that was lasting to me. And all the conversations that I had with the guys in the band after that, I recognized the power of that band.
Do you feel like the smooth jazz, quiet storm format that swept in kind of like really put the dampers on enough people continuing to hear real quality jazz, and also its continuing evolution?
Yes, that's marketing. Yes, that's marketing. Yes, that's marketing. Had nothing to do with music.
Yeah. But I think we're past that now.
I don't know. I really don't know. I had a student say to me, and she wore this very proudly. She said, today's generation, she said, our generation is going to be the first generation that will say that anybody can become a musician. What does that say about the state of the music?
I don't even know how to interpret that.
Exactly right. Exactly right.
Okay. When you're, as a drummer, whether it's jazz or funk or whatever style, what's more important, complexity or feel?
Well, the drums are a natural instrument. So you answer that question.
Well, feel.
Thank you. There it is.
But some people like to show off.
Yeah. Fine. Okay. But it's about the feel.
Yeah. Well, it's always been about the feel for me personally, but
right.
I think if you have the chops and the feel, that's the ultimate right there.
Good combination.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate all the time. and especially in the situation you're in there, I'm not sure how convenient it is. But I want to wrap this up, but I do want to just go back and touch on, you mentioned a couple of things that you're working on right now. Anything else that you're working on that we should have our antenna up for?
Well, I started a venture. I don't want to really call it a label, but I've been putting out projects under my brand called IUE. IUE. And I have a few records out now, and there are a few more coming out. I did there's a project that Mike Clark and I did 2004, I think, along with Stanley Clark, Victor Bailey, Robin Ford, George Colligan, and Eddie Henderson, and Kenny Garrett, that I probably will put out later on this year. And I have a podcast too. It's called the IUE Universe Podcast, and you can get that where podcasts are sold.
How often do you do them?
How much? Oh, I've done, I don't know, maybe 15 or 16 now. I'm starting on my second wave. I did Ron Carter, Mike Clark, Marcus Miller, Pat Gleason. I've done some pretty good, Tane Watts. I've done some pretty good podcasts, and you should check them out.
Yeah.
It's just me talking with my friends.
Uh-huh.
But very interesting. I'm gonna do, Daryl Jennifer from Bad Brains and some other things. So check them out when you get a chance. It's IUE Universe, Lenny White and the IUE Universe.
Okay.
Yeah.
The 2004 session sounds incredible.
I'm trying to make good music. I'm trying to be a brand for good music. I've made a lot of good music, and I'm trying to forward that and to still become a brand of good music.
Yeah. Is it a challenge as you get older being a drummer?
Yes.
Is the physical part of it?
It's a very physical instrument. I mean, for the past 10 years now, I've had a problem. And I thought that it was going to be something that I was not going to play anymore. But yeah, for the past 10 years, I've been working with like a spinal problem. But I managed to get through it and continue to play. And I will always continue to play.
Excellent. Well, we love to hear it, Lenny. So what is there a website or somewhere where people can go and get all that information?
Yeah, I mean, well, the IUE website is, IYOUWEE.com, IUE.com. And all I can say is stay tuned. There's a bunch of things gonna come out that are going to be very interesting for folks.
Outstanding. Hey, again, thank you so much. I really appreciate the time. And man, thank you on behalf of everyone watching and listening. Thank you so much for all the fantastic music you've given to all of us.
Thank you. And to everybody listening and watching, thank you for supporting what it is that I do. That's very, very special. And that's why I continue to do it.
Hey, and we're back. I loved his perspective about music just being about music and not getting caught up in all the marketing BS. Also, how musicians need to stay the course and be true to themselves because, in particular, music that moves the proverbial needle may be met with criticism and slow sales. You can't make a musical statement of potential influence and longevity if you just play it safe. And that is a big part of what Truth and Rhythm is all about. But I still get goosebumps thinking about him being in his teenage shoes as an integral part of the Milestone Bitches Brew sessions. Incredible. I want to again extend enormous thanks to Mr. Lenny White, who was gracious enough to participate while on vacation. And also sincere thank you as always to you, the viewers and supporters of the program. Again, a reminder, if you haven't already done so, subscribe to the Funky Stuff channel on YouTube. That's where Truth and Rhythm lives and breathes. Tell a friend, tell family we need that support. Show these great jazz, R&B, funk, soul musicians that you appreciate what they've brought to us. So subscribe, support the program. Also email me, write me at scottg@funkystuff.net. Let me know what you would like to see in the show, who you'd like to see as guests, maybe a change of format, whatever's on your musical mind, bring it forward. I'll definitely respond. And also, if you're a music artist that would like to be on the program, reach out to me as well, and we'll see if we can make it happen. And so it's time to wind it up. As always, this is Scott GX Goldfine saying, keep on vibrating to the rhythm of the one.